Hi, welcome back to part 3 of the ISO 20022 workshop series. So in this part, we are going to understand the return process in a very simple way. Return, I mean the pacs004 upload process. So let's do a quick recap of what we know so far. So we have seen what standards mean. It's a mix of a syntax and a semantics. Syntax means whether it's an XML, it's an ASCII file, it's a JSON message, or so on. And semantics means the definition of the tags which comes along with that syntax. So we also saw the different business areas of an ISO message, like for example, PACS, CAMT, paid messages, and why they differ. And then we saw the message flows of pacs008 and pacs003. One is 008 is a credit and 003 is a debit message. And then we saw XSDs. XSDs are the basis of the XML structure. So the XML schema definition forms the very core of how the XML is going to look like. And finally, we saw the empty to MX equivalence table. So empty being phased out, we saw, okay, what empty messages are being replaced with which MX messages and the reason for that. So this is what we have seen so far. So one of the things which we saw on a pacs004 is when does it come into play? So we all know that when we actually initiate a message, okay, so we initiate a pacs008 message. Okay, so it is to debit somebody here and you want to credit somebody in the counterparty bank. Now what happens is the clearing system might give you a technical reject pacs002 immediately, or if the message is fine, it goes on to the other bank, and then the creditor bank may accept it or reject it. Why he may reject? Because the creditor account could be invalid, it could be closed, frozen, or so on, and that's why they would send a pac004 which is related back to this bank so that the original customer is credited back. So this is what we are actually going to focus on today. How is the 004 message going to be uploaded or STP'd into the product processor of the debtor bank? Now let's look at a typical pac004 message. So here I have opened the message in IE. As you can see, there are two messages here, two return messages with a cumulative amount of 302.03. So it's made out of two transactions. You can see TXINF and TXNF. These are the two transactions which are there. So let's open one of them. Yes. So here, as you can see, you have the original information. So all these tags are original information. So the first one is the original message ID of the pac00 message. Now pac008 message. Now as we know, pac008 can contain multiple messages. So this particular one is this instruction ID which has been returned. Okay. So this is the original instruction ID of the pac008 which we are returning, and the amount is 101.01. So definitely I will have another one down here which is 201.02, and the reference numbers are here. So here also the message ID seems to be the same, but the TXN ID obviously would be different. So both of them together actually make up the 302.03. So this is the consolidated amount. So one thing to note here is that apart from the original message ID and the original transaction ID, you have the complete information about the original pac008 message. So original transaction reference, you have the complete detail. This seems to be, for example, a salary payment which has come obviously for the same amount, 101.01. So this is the complete original details of the pac008 message which is being returned here. And these are two messages which are being returned. This is the control number, and sorry, this is the control sum, and this is the total number of transactions. So now Let's look at the process of the pacs004 STP. So first thing what happens, as we already know, is that the file format is validated. So this is an XSD, sorry, it is not a CSD, it's an XSD file validation. It checks the number of transactions and the control sum. So in the example which we saw, it was 2 and it was something around 100, 300. So the first thing which happens is I do a receipt accounting. I acknowledge receipt of this and I actually do a debit nostro and a credit network GL of 300 EUR in this case. So this is the consolidated amount. Now, before I do the mapping, I do a pre-match accounting. Now, what's the difference between this step and the pre-match accounting? Here, I do it for individual transactions, and there is a reason for doing this kind of split accounting. So in this, so one pair will be for 100 and the other pair will be for 200 because there are two transactions, one transaction for 100, another transaction for 200. So this is what happens. Now at the end of this, your network GL gets knocked off, but your clearing suspense will now hold an amount of 300 because it has done this accounting for two transactions. Then the most important one, it does the validation. If you have seen the XML, we match the original transaction ID of the 004 with the original transaction of 008, which had happened in my core banking earlier. So if this fails, it goes to a error queue or the return process fails. Similarly, return days validation. Now, what's return days validation? Now, a pac008 might have been created on 1st of April. Now my return days could be 4 working days. Now if the pac004 doesn't come within 5th April, I'm going to reject it and it goes to the error queue again. So these are the primary matches and validations which happens. There could be many more depending on your product processor, but these are the key and the mandatory ones. Now, in this, let's assume that it goes ahead and out of these two transactions, one transaction goes through. It passes the validation. So it passes, it does accounting entry of debit clearing suspense for 100 and it credits the customer account also for 100. It's the same customer account which was debited for 100 when the original pac008 was created. So now what happens is that my clearing suspense still now has a balance of 200. 100 gets knocked off because of this matching. So finally, we do what is known as a return accounting. We say that, okay, this return is successful, but the 200 transaction is not returned successfully. So I cancel the return. So at this moment, I do a cancel return accounting, which means I debit the clearing suspense and credit to return GL. Now this return GL could be same as a network GL, but it could be a different GL as well. So in this, by this way, we are actually negating the clearing suspense as well at the end of the return accounting. So this is how a simple 6 or 7 steps of pac004 processing in a product processor. So thank you for watching, and we will go into details about pac002 and pac008 itself in the next part 4 of this series. Thank you.